I want to start this video by saying something clearly before anything else. The people I'm going to talk about in this video are not careless. They are not irresponsible. They aren't leaking these financial decisions because they don't care about their future or their families. Most of the time, they're making them because nobody ever showed them the real cost. And I know that because I was one of them. When I was 26, I had a steady job, a decent paycheck, and almost nothing to show for it. I wasn't gambling, I wasn't reckless. I was just spending money the way the people around me spent money, the way the culture around me said was completely normal, without ever stopping to run the actual math on what each of those decisions was costing me over time. I remember this specific conversation that changed how I saw it. I was sitting with a mentor of mine, an older man who'd spent his career in finance and had seen the same patterns play out across decades. And he walked me through 7 specific spending habits that he'd watched quietly drain working Americans' financial futures, category by category, year after year. Not dramatic losses, not reckless decisions, just ordinary, normalized spending patterns that look completely reasonable up close, but are devastatingly expensive when you calculate what they actually cost compounded over time. That conversation is the one I'm going to have with you today. This isn't a video about shaming anyone's spending. I am not here to tell working people they're broke because they bought a coffee. I am here to show you the math on 7 specific categories, math that most people have genuinely never seen, and give you the exact same information my mentor gave me, because information changes decisions. By the end of this video, you're going to look at these 7 categories differently, not because I told you to feel bad about them, because the numbers are going to speak for themselves. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Chris Finance, the channel that gives it to you straight without talking down to you. Subscribe if you're new. New videos every week. Today, 7 purchases that quietly drain more wealth from working Americans than almost anything else, with real math and real alternatives for each one. Let's go. Purchase number 1. Brand new cars. This is the single most expensive item on this list, not because individual cars are the biggest number, but because the pattern is so deeply normalized that almost nobody questions it. Here's what actually happens the moment you drive a new car off the lot. A new car loses approximately 20% of its value in the first year, not over 5 years, not gradually, in the first 12 months. A $35,000 car is worth closer to $28,000 before your first payment anniversary. Over 5 years, that same car loses roughly 50 to 60% of its original value. You're paying off a $35,000 loan, with interest bringing the total to $40,000 or more depending on your rate, for a vehicle now worth $14,000 to $16,000. Most of its useful life still ahead of it. Proven reliability, same roads, same destinations. The difference between those 2 purchases is roughly $15,000 to $17,000 upfront, plus significantly lower interest paid over the loan life. The real math? $15,000 invested at 8% annual returns over 30 years doesn't just sit there. It becomes approximately $150,000. You're not choosing between a new car and a used car. You're choosing between a new car and $150,000 in retirement wealth. The car gets you to the same places either way. The $150,000 gets you freedom. I've talked about productive assets in my Buffett video and my S&P 500 video. A new car is the opposite of a productive asset. It starts declining the moment you own it and costs you money every month it exists. A 3-year-old paid-off car is a tool that gets you where you need to go without draining your financial future. Purchase number 2. Lottery tickets and scratch-offs. I want to be careful here because I understand why this one is hard to talk about without sounding dismissive. When money is genuinely tight, when the week has been long, when the way out isn't clear, spending a few dollars on the possibility of a different life isn't stupidity, it's hope. And hope matters. But I want to show you what that same money does when it's pointed in a different direction, because I think you deserve to see the math. The real numbers on lottery odds, the probability of winning a Powerball jackpot is roughly 1 in 292 million. You are statistically more likely to be struck by lightning twice. Scratch-off tickets are somewhat better odds, but the average expected return on most scratch-off games is less than the purchase price, meaning on average, spending $2 returns less than $2 in prizes when averaged across all tickets. What the habit costs over time. Research has shown that households in lower income brackets can spend $50, $75, even $100 per month or more on lottery tickets, sometimes upward of 5% of take-home income. Let's use $75 a month as a realistic middle estimate. $75 a month, every month invested instead in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund at 8% average annual returns over 30 years, approximately $112,000. That's the real lottery ticket, except the odds of winning aren't 1 in 292 million. Given enough time, they're nearly guaranteed. What to do instead? Take that same $75, or whatever the honest monthly number is for you, and automate it into a Roth IRA or a brokerage account on payday. I walked through exactly how to open both in earlier videos on this channel. The investment account doesn't give you the same instant feeling of possibility, but it does give you something the lottery never will, a real mathematically near certain path to real money over time. Purchase number 3. Payday loans and cash advance services. This one genuinely makes me angry, not at the people using these services, but at the industry built to profit from them. Here's how a payday loan works. You need $500 today. The lender gives it to you in exchange for a fee, typically $15 to $20 per $100 borrowed, plus repayment of the principal when your next paycheck arrives in 2 weeks. That fee structure works out to an annual percentage rate of somewhere between 300 to 400%, depending on the specific terms. For context, a credit card at 22% APR, which I've talked about in my debt payoff video as genuinely expensive, is still roughly 15 times cheaper than a payday loan. The trap that catches most people. Research from the Consumer Protection Bureau has found that the majority of payday loans get rolled over or renewed within 2 weeks because the borrower still doesn't have the money when the payment comes due, so they pay the fee again to extend. A $500 loan can easily become $800, $900, $1,000 paid in fees over a few months while the original principal stays on the books. The alternative. The real solution is never needing a payday loan in the first place, which is exactly what an emergency fund does. I made an entire video on this. Even $25 a month going into a separate high-yield savings account starts building that cushion. But if you're already facing an emergency right now, call your landlord and explain the situation. Many will work with a reliable tenant. Call your utility company and ask about hardship payment plans. Ask your employer whether they offer payroll advances. Every one of those options is dramatically less expensive than a payday loan. And some credit unions offer small emergency loans at rates that are a fraction of what payday lenders charge. Worth a phone call before walking into a payday loan store. Purchase number 4. Rent-to-own furniture and electronics. The rent-to-own industry is built on one specific psychological insight. People respond to monthly payment amounts far more than they respond to total cost, and they use that insight consistently. Here's a real example of how it works. A living room sofa retails at a furniture store for $800. The same sofa at a rent-to-own company is listed at $79 a month for 24 months. That sounds manageable. $79 a month is a lot more approachable than $800 all at once. What you're actually paying, $79 times 24 equals $1,896, more than double the retail price of the same sofa you could have bought outright. Televisions, laptops, appliances, bedroom sets. The pattern repeats across every category. The total cost at rent-to-own is often 2 to 4 times what the item actually sells for. The alternative, patience and second-hand sourcing. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Goodwill, estate sales, and thrift stores regularly have furniture and appliances in excellent condition at a fraction of retail. I know families who have furnished entire apartments for under $300 by shopping this way over a few weeks. Is it as immediately satisfying as walking out of a store with new furniture the same day? No, but owning something outright that cost you $150 beats making $79 payments for 2 years on the same item by a margin that's hard to argue with. Purchase number 5, extended warranties and small item insurance. Every major retailer trains their employees to sell these at checkout. They're one of the highest margin products in retail because most of the time they never get used. Here's the math on a typical electronics warranty. You buy a $900 laptop, they offer a 3-year protection plan for $180. What you're not being told: 1. The manufacturer's warranty already covers defects for the first year in most cases. 2. If you paid with a credit card, many major credit cards automatically extend the manufacturer's warranty by an additional year at no charge. 3. Most electronic failures happen either in the first 90 days, covered by the store's return policy, or after the extended warranty expires anyway. The window of time the extended warranty actually adds coverage for tends to be exactly the window with the lowest statistical failure rate. Phone insurance is even worse, at $12 to $15 a month with a $100 to $200 deductible when you actually use it. You can easily pay $500 over 3 years and still owe another $150 when something breaks. The self-insurance alternative. Take the money you would spend on an extended warranty or monthly device insurance and put it into a dedicated savings subaccount labeled exactly that, Device Replacement Fund. In 2 to 3 years, you've accumulated enough to replace most electronics without a plan. If nothing breaks, the money is still yours. The general principle: insure things whose loss would financially devastate you: your home, your car, your health, your income if people depend on it. For everything else, the math usually favors saving the premium yourself. Purchase number 6, subscription creep. This one is uniquely modern and uniquely sneaky because every individual subscription feels small and reasonable, which is exactly why the industry is built the way it is. Streaming service, $16 a month. Another one, $18. A third, $14. Music streaming, $11. Gaming subscription, $15. A news site, $10. A meal kit service you're barely using, $60. An app subscription you forgot was auto-renewing, $8. None of those numbers are alarming on their own. Added together, $152 a month in recurring charges, $1,824 a year for services you're partially using, largely using, or in some cases have genuinely forgotten you're paying for. The audit most people have never done: pull your last 2 months of bank and credit card statements, highlight every recurring charge, add them up. The number surprises most people who do this honestly. The fix isn't eliminating all entertainment, it's making it intentional. Rotate 1 or 2 streaming services at a time. Watch one for 3 months, cancel it, pick up another. The shows will still be there. And cancel every subscription you can't name off the top of your head without checking. If you've forgotten it exists, you're not using it enough to justify the charge. The real math? $100 a month in redirected subscription spending invested at 8% annual returns for 20 years, approximately $59,000. Purchase number 7, daily convenience spending. This is the category I'm most careful about because I've seen finance content use this topic to condescend to working people, implying that a daily coffee or a fast food lunch is why they're broke. That's both oversimplified and unfair, and I'm not going to do that. But I do want to show you the real math on the pattern because it's genuinely significant at scale. The specific math on work lunches. Buying lunch every workday at an average of $10 to $12 costs roughly $200 to $240 a month, $2,400 to $2,900 a year. Preparing a simple lunch at home costs perhaps $50 to $70 a month in groceries. The difference? $150 to $170 a month. $160 a month invested at 8% annual returns for 30 years, approximately $240,000. That's not the cost of a daily coffee. That's the cost of a daily lunch bought out 5 days a week, every week for 30 years, compared to the same money invested instead. The convenience markup at gas stations and corner stores follows a similar pattern. The same products cost 2 to 4 times more per unit than their grocery store equivalents because you're paying for proximity and immediacy rather than the product itself. What I'm not saying? Never eat out, never treat yourself, never buy a coffee. Life is supposed to be lived, and I've said that in the context of every budget I've discussed on this channel. The live category in my build, guard, run, live framework exists for exactly this reason. What I am saying, make it a conscious choice with a set budget rather than a default habit with no ceiling. The side hustle video I posted earlier in this series showed that $160 a month in redirected spending is real money aimed at a real goal. The math that ties all 7 together. Let me pull these numbers together because the full picture is the one that actually motivates change. If someone replaced a new car with a reliable used one, potential $150,000 in lifetime wealth difference. Redirected lottery spending, $75 a month, approximately $112,000 over 30 years. Avoided payday loan fees over years of potential use. Varies but easily $5,000 to $15,000 per cycle avoided. Eliminated rent-to-own on furniture, $1,000 to $3,000 per purchase. Self-insured instead of extended warranties and phone insurance, $500 to $1,500 per device life cycle. Reduced subscription creep, $100 a month redirected, approximately $59,000 over 20 years. Reduced convenience food spending, $160 a month redirected, approximately $240,000 over 30 years. None of these are dramatic sacrifices. None of them require a 6-figure income. They're all ordinary decisions made differently over a long enough time. The gap between where most working Americans are financially and where they could be isn't usually caused by one catastrophic decision. It's built from hundreds of small ones, repeated over years, that individually look completely reasonable and collectively cost a retirement. Your action plan. Here's exactly what to do after this video. Step 1. Pull your last 2 months of bank and card statements. Identify which of these 7 categories are present in your spending. Be honest, not judgmental. Step 2. Add up the real monthly total for each category you identified, not what you think you're spending, what the statements actually show. Step 3. Pick one category, the easiest one to change, not all 7 at once. 1. Step 4. Redirect that specific dollar amount to a high-yield savings account or investment account automated on payday. If you don't have a Roth IRA or brokerage account yet, my earlier videos walk through exactly how to open both. 3 months later, pick a second category, then a third. You don't have to do it all at once. You do have to start. The mentor who walked me through this list didn't do it to make me feel bad about how I'd been spending. He did it the way I want this video to land for you. Not as a judgment, but as information. Information that most working Americans never get. Not in school, not in most families, not in most workplaces. My Uncle Walter worked 41 years at a steel plant and retired with almost nothing. He wasn't careless, he wasn't irresponsible. He just never had anyone sit down with him and show him what his money was actually doing, what each of these patterns was quietly costing him year after year while it all looked completely normal. That's what this channel exists to do. Not to shame anyone's spending, not to tell working people their lattes are the reason they're not rich, but to show the actual math, clearly, plainly, without condescension, so that the next decision made with that information has a real chance of landing differently. You work hard for your money. Every dollar you keep working for you instead of quietly draining out through these 7 categories is a dollar earning compound returns, building the kind of cushion and freedom that changes what your life looks like 10 and 20 years from now. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 7 hit closest to home and which one are you changing first. I read every single comment and I genuinely want to know. Like this video if it gave you something real today. Subscribe for more every single week. Next video is already up. I'm covering the 12 investing mistakes Warren Buffett has spent 6 decades warning people about and what each one actually costs in real dollars. I'm Chris. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.